So now on Esoteric Cliffnotes, we have Act of Consciousness by Adamus Saint-Germain through Geoffrey and Linda Hoppe. And so this is a book channeled by Geoffrey and Linda Hoppe of Adamus Saint-Germain, who's an ascended master. And so, starting out with a note from the author, Kasama is the knowingness that you are already enlightened and ascended, beyond the boundaries of time, and now you are going through the experience of what it was like to realize it. It is already done, so now, how would you like to experience it? You're already enlightened, and you're also in the discovery of the journey of how you got there. Introduction. It is an unnatural act that we have come to accept as reality. Life, that is. The passion of our pure consciousness attracts energy from the unified field to manifest our reality. Adamus defines the four primary levels of energy, including core, soul, crystalline, cosmic, and earth. Adamus implores the reader to act like a master rather than acting like a less than perfect human. This act will literally change the type of energy that is attracted into the reader's life, and therefore change the reality theater that he or she exists within. Some readers will question this approaching and say, "It's not real because it's just an act," to which Adamus would reply, "But everything in your life is just an act, so why not act like a preposterous, healthy, and wise master?" Chapter 1, At the Threshold. Section 1, At the Threshold. Chapter 1, I Exist. I can be anything I want. I can be Adamus. You dive deeper and deeper and deeper into what you assume is your identity, but it is just an act. The origin of the word act means to be. Energy is very literal. You see, all reality already exists. Act like a master and you'll get masterful energy. Dear friend, in the very hours you spend reading this living book, you can have a life-changing experience. It's as easy as taking a deep breath and just being in it. I call it the star hoping. Are you ready for your life to change no matter what? It's right here, simply waiting to be realized. It's actually the lifetime of realizing of your enlightenment, because it is already there. This lifetime is about the embodiment of your enlightenment. Chapter 2, What is Enlightenment? In enlightenment, there is simplification, reduction, distillation. Enlightenment is integration. You integrate all of your aspects, as well as your soul being and human being, into the I am. You don't need purpose. You can be here in abundant awareness to simply enjoy the act of living. In enlightenment, there are no goals. Enlightenment comes with allowing. It's a total surrender to yourself, not to some unknown God, but to yourself. I've had so many students who think that enlightenment or spirituality is about understanding their identity. It is not at all, other than to understand that the identity is just an act. Chapter 3, Who is responsible? You can't figure it out. That's the little hidden secret to this. Trust that the enlightenment is the passion of your soul and therefore can never be lost or defeated. You're just going through part of the experience. It is the soul, the divine you, that is responsible for your realization, and it doesn't need to plan or manage or figure anything out. It simply realizes the enlightenment. It's very simple. You can relax. Relax into your enlightenment. Chapter 4, In This Lifetime. I didn't see anything that really stuck out to me here. So, he mentions reincarnation and having been through anywhere between 850 to 1400 lifetimes, and about 9,000 beings have ascended. So it's essentially reincarnation. And so I'll read this last bit. What keeps you going when others have dropped out? What is it that makes you pick yourself up and keep going when you don't think you have any more energy, hope, or desire to go on? Even in the darkest moments, something still rises up from within you and carries on. Sometimes you attribute it to angels, spirit guides, or even once in a while me, that is Saint-Germain. But it's actually you. It is something that rises up within you, your soul's passion, for its realization of enlightenment. And now here you are in your awakening in the most promising time in the history of humanity. Chapter 5, At the Threshold. After enlightenment, a master does that in many other realities, in many other parts of the cosmos. They bring life to life. When you leave nothing behind, you take all the attributes of physical reality with you in your continuing journeys. Having the physical body integrated with you allows you to recreate it anytime you wish in your journeys beyond the physical realms. So a note from the reader here, he's talking about, ascension, right? Like how Jesus left with his body. And he mentions that multiple people have done this, including himself. So it's possible. And so the writer continues, you came into this life for your enlightenment. You still wonder about it if you're ready, if you've done enough, or learned enough, or released enough. But yes, absolutely, you are ready. Part 2, Human and Divine. Chapter 6, Human Needs. This is a time to be very clear with your soul about your human needs. I'm talking about the elemental basic needs like health, abundance, a relationship with the soul, love of self. If the soul is going to be here with you, it's important for it to understand you, the human, and to know what your needs are. Don't ask for it or wish it, demand it. Take a deep breath and say, soul, this is what we need. Bring it on. And then feel into the deep passion of the soul. Part of the purpose of this exercise is to make it clear to yourself what you need, what you really want, and choose. Oftentimes, there is a kind of fogginess about it. You know what you don't know, what you don't want, but you're not always sure what you do want. Now take this moment to feel your soul. Not to honor or worship it, but to immediately be with it, to feel it. You've been talking to it saying, hey soul, here are some of my needs. Now make it very clear. The soul doesn't always understand the needs of the human, so make your needs clear to the I am. The soul is like the sun, up there just shining away, rather oblivious to what's happening down here on earth. It's just there in its radiance and expression. Its passion is to shine. It is the human that needs to be very clear, you with yourself, about your needs. It is entirely up to you to be clear with yourself about your needs. Feel blessed that you have them. Feel how it's just a game of how abundant can I be? How healthy can I be? Wow, I'm blessed. Life is changing. Chapter 7. 4 primary human issues. Abundance. Don't worry about taking too much abundance, because there is more than enough to go around. Everyone can even have more than enough if they choose, but the right amount of abundance will be there at the absolute right time. Health. As you open up to more energy, you'll find that it takes very, very little to fulfill the needs of the body. The body's aniatron, the biological communication network, will stop its natural communications while you play the diet game. So he's pretty much saying don't diet, because it's going out of trust with your body. Relationships. The new relationships will be much more free, have little or no energy feeding, and you'll actually need far fewer of them. Be in a relationship that will inspire you and allow you to inspire others. Gone are the days of the old entangled karmic relationships. They were somewhat interesting, they had a lot of drama, but you don't need them anymore. Self-worth. As you take each picture off the wall, as you forgive yourself and let these things go in total compassion, a new picture will appear as if by magic. It will be holographic, not limited to what the mind has remembered. It will provide a fuller, clearer, and more compassionate account of the past experience. It should be just a plaque to yourself, a reminder that you've come too far to ever do those types of things again. And these are, of course, metaphorical pictures. Chapter 8. Comparing divine and human. Leave it to your divinity. It's important to know what I'm talking about. Passion versus needs, sensual versus emotional, experience versus action, radiance versus judgment, wisdom versus memory. Divine has passion. The passion of your divinity is the cause of creation. Human has needs and desires. While the divine has passion, the human has needs and desires. In fact, the human has a lot of needs. That's perfectly acceptable. You may have a long list of your human needs, and that is perfectly acceptable. To deny your needs is to deny an important part of yourself. You have to let the soul know what you need. You say, but doesn't the soul understand that I have a bank account, that I need a car and money? Not really, because in a sense, it doesn't really care. In its desire for experience, the soul isn't distracted by those things. Now we're going to put them together so it truly understands the needs of the human, but not to the point where those needs overrule the true passion of the soul. Divine is sensual. The soul loved its time expressing itself as an angel in the cosmos, out in other dimensions, feeling itself as color, as non-physical being, a sort of gaseous substance. It loved feeling its identity and experiencing itself with other entities out in the realms. Not to fulfill any need other than to feel, not to do anything other than to know itself again and again. It loves the sensual sensory experiences. It's often interpreted or experienced through very physical things like making love, eating food, walking in the woods, singing at the top of your lungs, seeing a scary movie, riding a roller coaster, and other intense activities. It is all sensual experience and expression, and the soul loves that. It drinks it in deeply. Human is emotional. There's no emotion or drama, no judgment of I like this, I don't like this. It is simply a deep, sensual experience. Divine love is experience. In a true experience of the soul, there is no overwhelm. There is no such thing as too much. There is nothing that needs to be filtered out. Human loves action. The human plans and plots the actions that it will take. Even in your own enlightenment, you've been trying to take action. But why? The soul is going to handle your enlightenment. All you have to do is receive it, allow it, and experience it. But the human still thinks it has to plan things out, that it has to take a certain action in order to have a certain result. Take a deep breath and feel into what it would be like: an open, sensual, passionate, playful, raw, fully feeling experience. Divine has radiance. Each time the soul has a sensual, beautiful experience, there is another level and layer of radiance, of opening, of falling in love with itself. Human has judgment. The mind and thoughts are somewhat important, but as you go beyond the limits of the mind, you'll get into the intuition, the sensual nature of things, the open, non-linear divine intelligence. Perhaps you have felt things like vertigo or dizziness. It is because you're starting to operate in the sensual, intuitive knowingness rather than the thinking mode. Divine has wisdom. The soul knows it's going through many amazing experiences through its human self, and it will distill everything down to its pure essence. The funny thing is that you already know this, you've already realized it, it's like deja vu. I know you've already sat here with me talking to you, and you letting yourself feel this. That's why it's so familiar. It's what you already know, what you have already sensed, but perhaps the human self has forgotten. The human has memories. Instead of judging your actions and storing them in memory, what if you allowed yourself to enjoy every experience, then distill the wisdom into every part of you? What if you allowed your human and divine to finally come together in the greatest love and compassion? Chapter 9, Reunion. I realized that all the points were coming to me. I no longer looked forward into time, but allowed time to come to me. I realized that I was multidimensional. So here's an experience. For the next few minutes, allow yourself to let go of distractions and open your feelings. If you'd like to pause. All right, continuing. Soul and human sing to each other, hear each other, feel each other. Let the soul know that this is no longer acceptable. As in, like, the human condition, being overweight, things like that. Any of your human issues. Part 3, Spiritual Physics. How energy works. Energy is crystallized, compressed consciousness. Okay, now let's discuss the different levels and layers of energy, keeping in mind here that passion created energy. Level 1, core. It can never be taken by anybody or harmed by anything. It is your core energy, your own personal energy, and it can never be mixed or intermingled with the energy of another soul being. Level 2, crystal. Crystal energy was created the moment you encountered other soul beings. That melding and bringing together of soul beings created this next level called crystal energy. It's very pure, but it took 2 or more beings of consciousness coming together to create this level. Level 3, cosmic. The cosmic energies can be tapped into in your multi-dimensional realities, whether you go out on a journey or experience a multi-dimensional reality here. Level 4, earth. This is the one used by humans in this reality. The real passion, and what really attracts energy, is this core passion, the I exist. Abundance is directly related to your passion for life. Passion created energy, and now it is passion that attracts energy. The power itself is an illusion. I am that I am. That is not my thought, not my consciousness anymore, and you let it go. It really is that simple. And this is just to help letting go of thoughts. All right, chapter 11, consciousness. Energy is passionated consciousness. No matter what you're doing or how you're acting, energy is always responding. Energy is very literal, and it responds literally to your act, to what you're actually putting out, and manifests that into your life. Even if you think you're just faking it or making it up, energy still responds accordingly. If you want abundance, act abundantly. If you want health, act healthily. Act healthy. Consciousness is awareness. To be aware of awareness, to be conscious of your consciousness is a huge step. I am, I exist, is the simplest yet most profound form of consciousness. Society is hypnotized to have just enough, barely enough. In ancient times, the rulers learned that it's not really effective to starve and beat the slaves. You have to give them just enough to keep them going until the next day. There's a tremendous amount of unactivated energy in every single breath you take, an ocean of energy just waiting for the act of consciousness, but you haven't been so sure you really like the old act. This is the one thing the Merlin deeply understands. No rules, for they limit the self. There are no rules out here. In these mass multiple dimensions, there are no rules. There are no rules about gravity, no rules about force, no rules about duality, or any of those other things. It is all free and clear. And now you, as a master in the new energy, can go play. In the end, the master understands there are truly no rules. There is self, there is experience, and there is expression. Chapter 12, Consciousness and Thought. Consciousness is awareness, and to expand it is to be conscious of the consciousness. Start with feeling. It's that first thing that comes to you, that first awareness. Thought, on the other hand, is evaluation and measurement. Consciousness, like a spiral, can ebb in and ebb out. It can flow up or down, inward and outward. Consciousness expands in all directions. Actually, consciousness expands without need of direction. It simply expands. When I say beauty, without further definition, can you feel the difference? It is more of a feeling of consciousness, even though I had to use the word beauty just to trigger something. And that's in comparison to a description, like something that's one would consider beautiful. Feel into love, as in the word love, in consciousness now, without the limitation, destruction, and death of thought. Feel the consciousness of love. There is a resonance. Consciousness tinkles the senses. It can literally create a feeling in the body and even a temporary euphoria in the mind. Thought focuses on one frame at a time, evaluates it, and says, there are two people kissing, a bird is in the background, and a storm is coming that's going to get them wet and make them miserable. That's thought looking at life one frame at a time. It's very separate. It tries to put itself together saying, look, we have all these thoughts, all these individual frames, so isn't this a movie? Isn't this consciousness? No, of course it's not. Feel the essence of the entire experience. That's consciousness. Thoughts are separate. Consciousness is always whole and complete. Always. Consciousness cannot be incomplete. It can expand, it can grow. It can never be incomplete, it can never be unfulfilled. Thoughts are almost always incomplete, unfulfilled, needing more, feeding off more energy. Thoughts are programmed. Consciousness absolutely cannot be taken over, penetrated, or taken away by anybody else. It is and always will be your own. Thoughts need answers to their constant questions. Consciousness is just consciousness. It only needs itself. You could say that consciousness is to be and thoughts are not to be. To be or not to be. Consciousness or thought. Beliefs are also associated with thought. A belief is a limitation, which is not bad as long as you are aware that it's just a belief. When you believe in your beliefs, that's what gets you into trouble. But if you're aware that it's just a belief, a tool, a toy, an act, the hat you chose to wear on your new stage of consciousness, then you are free, because you can change hats anytime you want. Consciousness expands into simplicity, always returning to the simplest form, which is, I exist. If you get in trouble out there amidst those who are still asleep, if you get in trouble with your job, your family, your health, or anything else, stop for a moment, feel into the I exist. Not as a thought, but as a consciousness. I'm aware of my existence. I exist. It attracts the energy you need and everything is there. It's that simple. Thoughts are a fraud. Consciousness does not have an emotion, but it has deep, passionate, sensual feeling. You cannot make sense of it. You really don't want to. You can be aware of it. You can have the feeling of it. You can have thoughts and definitions about it, but you don't need to battle with the mind anymore. Everything comes to me. In my enlightenment, that's what I realized. In a limited human reality, you have to go out and make it happen. There's effort. You have to seek things out. But in enlightenment, it all comes to you. It's one of those natural physics of creation. It comes to you in response to your act of consciousness. So often in the human reality, you have to think ahead. What do I need for tomorrow or next week? But in enlightenment, whatever you need is there in the perfect quantity at the perfect time. You'll realize that it's the true nature of reality. It was always there. You just weren't aware of it. I am the point. I am wherever I want to be. Then the energies come in to serve you. Science is beginning to realize that it's only when the human is directly observing something that it behaves in very specific, limited ways. Beyond human observation, all possibilities are real. Reality is based on the consciousness of the observer, or at least the observer's interpretation of the expectation of reality. The reality in which you are acting is simply particles and energy responding to your awareness and perception of reality. What happens when you expand your consciousness and perceptions? Reality changes. The potential of everything that you will ever do is already there, with the exception of what happens after your enlightenment, because even the soul cannot know what will happen in enlightenment. Reality is much more than what humans currently perceive it to be. There's so much more happening right now. Even while you're reading this book, many, many other things are happening. Energy is shifting within you right now. Your DNA is changing. Your consciousness is changing, even though you're focused on these pages and think you're reading these words. There's something we call an Ika. It's the smallest particle that directly affects physical reality. The Ika particle, the Ika is a particle, and it's not a particle, very much like a photon is both a particle and a waveform. The Ika is so small that it's not detectable by any current scientific instruments and is the smallest of all particles that are affected by consciousness and reality. Beyond just being a particle, an Ika is also what I call an attractant because it attracts energy. By itself, it's not necessarily energy, but it attracts energy that then helps form reality. It is manifested or brought into being by the act of consciousness. Consciousness is brought into your act through passion, and true passion, soul passion, is what ignites light and ikas and brings reality into being. Power is illusion. Chapter 14. At the core of all things there is no power. There is no need for it. Power is an illusion. Your soul has no power. It is pure consciousness, without need for power or even energy. Power is used by those who are trying to get energy from outside themselves. You can't destroy energy, it's always there, so the need for power simply goes away, including power over yourself. Chapter 15. I am the point. The first tool is allowing. Allowing means trusting in yourself, not doubting yourself. The next tool is passion. Passion ignites energy. It's what energizes your life in any situation. Thinking and mental visualization has very little passion, so it doesn't call forth much energy. The next tool, a very useful one to remember, is point of consciousness, meaning the shift from one perspective to another without thinking about it. You don't think your way into your point of consciousness, you become it. You're just there. You allow a change in perspective and it changes the way energy is brought in. Instead of thinking, oh, what can I do about this problem? Just take a moment and be conscious of it. Then instead of trying to solve the problem in your mind, just remove the power from it. It has a power dynamic. Just take the power out of that problem. Be where you want to be without the problem. It's that simple. Don't think about the problem. Come to the new place where it doesn't exist. And then allow the new reality to come in, and it will. You've made a choice. Feel that passion for a moment, the passion of energy, of money serving you. Imagine what you can do. Feel the passion because that passion is what calls forth energy. Perhaps you doubt yourself. Perhaps you don't love or honor yourself. You doubt yourself, loathe yourself, and limit yourself in so many ways. Now be aware of this lack of self-worth and compassion for yourself. You give compassion to everybody else, but forget to give it to yourself. Feel into it. Not thinking about it, but feeling it. It has resonance. Now, take away the illusion of power that you've given it. Yes, you can release the power. It will try to tell you that you can't, that this is just a stupid game, but stand up for yourself. Choose for yourself. Be yourself. Take the power right out of this. You created it, you can uncreate it right now. Feel the passion of being with yourself, you and your spirit. This passion brings forth all of the energies, core, crystal, cosmic, and earth. Finally, just accept that you can love yourself, that you can have health and abundance and relationships, that you can have joy and allow it to become so. Part 5. Oh, 4. Part 4. It is time. Chapter 6. The Merlin Effect. Merlin's future self would come to visit his or her past or present self, not in an attempt to alter anything, but rather to remind that all is well. It is a remarkable and simple concept that can dramatically affect the sense of grace and well-being in your life. The future is the past healed. When you time travel to your past in compassion, it heals and releases the trauma points, thereby allowing you to see new potentials for the future because you're no longer bound by the limitations of grief of the past. You can also experience the Merlin effect from your future self to your present self. Your future self is probably already doing this with you. It's only a matter of becoming aware of it. Feeling the presence of the master that you are in the future will remind you that you are already a master today. It is time that you go beyond time. As you break out of the limitations of the three-dimensional reality, you begin to realize that your past is not what you remember it to be. The master, you, is here now and was only in every moment in your past. All is well. Just remember to always be in compassion. You're not trying to fix anything because nothing is broken. Chapter 17. Walk like a master. It is your passion and radiance that create reality, not the mind or thought. Walking is a great way to begin acting like a master, even if you're just acting, even if you think it's totally fake. Do you really want to be a master? Then start walking like one. There's nothing different in the way energy comes in when you walk like a master. Even if you're just faking it, the energy flows different. This is where it becomes real, if you choose. Actually go out and walk around like a master for a while. Allow yourself to feel it, to actually do it. Observe how it feels, how people respond to you, how life feels all around you. Notice the difference when you walk like a master. You'll discover that other people's energy, their consciousness, will actually honor you. They'll admire you. When you walk like a master, the senses open up. You see more, hear more, feel more. Everything opens up if that's what you want. When you act and walk like a master, you literally take in more oxygen. Your body actually absorbs more life force energy than if you're just walking and acting like a limited human. You're literally opening up and allowing for more energy to come into the physical body. You'll find that you don't need to derive as much energy from things like food or sunlight, but if you do partake of them, your body knows how to stay in balance. Walk like a master wherever you go. Notice the difference in your breathing and how you feel. Eat like a master. Oh, masters, they can eat a lot. Experience the difference in awareness of everything, the taste, the noises around you, what you're doing, how you're feeling, everything. Chapter 18. What goes on Earth? The eyes of creation in both the physical and non-physical dimensions are watching from all around the cosmos. Humans are finally learning about energy. It looks like a crisis of literal energy. It looks like a literal energy crisis with your fuel supplies, but really, it's about learning how to work with energies, how to call them forth, and how to have them serve you. Humans are also working on the issue of freedom. Awakening humans like you are seeking freedom from limited beliefs, old hypnotic overlays, mental programming, and freedom of the past. From the past. Love is the gift from humanity to all creation. You are no longer an energy holder, you're a bringer of the new energy. You're not here to maintain energy balances on Earth anymore. You are exactly where you should be, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. All is well. Chapter 19. The Last Battle. The last battle has been fought. The war is already over. The battles have been within yourself. The war has been about duality, self-perception, self-acceptance, and self-love. but now the conflicts are over and done with. You enter into a life that is filled with grace, the life of a master who allows energies to serve them. This is the definition of grace, allowing energies to serve you finally. This new energy does not come from the reservoir or pool of the old energies. It combines your consciousness and energy into a single element. But now, in this new era, they can be brought together into something magnificent and new. Go forth, whether it is an act or not, with love for yourself in your heart. That's it. It's a short and sweet book. There were a lot of things I underlined. It's pretty compact. It's a good book. Nothing really new or revelatory in it, but a nice reminder. Yeah, if you've listened to this, I don't think you really need to read it or buy it unless it's just to have a physical copy. But it's a good one.